Hello, Adam Ryan Donato.
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 Hello, Adam Ryan Donato. Hello, Adam Ryan Donato.
Hello, Adam Ryan Donaldo.
Hello, Adam Ryan Donato.
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 Hello, here's a hard review for the movie of the week, being Dear Evan Hansen. Dear Evan Hansen is a movie musical about a boy in his senior year of high school. He recently broke his arm, and his goal on the first day of school is to have other people sign his cast. Through a certain set of mix-ups, Evan Hansen has a letter that he wrote to himself as a project for therapy that is intercepted by a troubled teen who later kills himself and is found with the note on him that makes it look like it's his suicide note to his dearest friend, Evan Hansen. So Evan Hansen makes up this big, huge, convoluted story about how he was secretly friends with Connor, the boy who committed suicide. All of this is an effort to save the feelings of the family of Connor, and especially his sister, who Evan Hansen has always had a crush on. Now, this movie is very problematic. I know that I never seen the musical myself. I purposefully kind of stayed away from the soundtrack because I wanted to see it. So I wanted to see it in its totality. I did that with In the Heights as well when I was really excited about that. I was like, well, I don't want to listen to the soundtrack because then I'm like constantly comparing the soundtrack to the movie, the musical soundtrack to the movie. So I avoided it. When the trailer came out, my company actually got to work on the trailer, so it was interesting seeing what people thought about the movie beforehand. Everyone was worried about Ben Platt, who played the character in the Broadway musical, is also playing him in the movie. Ben Platt is... Actually, that's a good question. How old is Ben Platt? Ben Platt was born in 1993, which makes him... Oh, God. 7 plus 21. He's 28 years old. He's only 28 years old? That's not that bad. But he looks really old. He looks like 30 years old. And it's very obvious in the trailer. And I was wondering if during the movie, if this was going to be a thing that stood out to me, that or if it was something that I was going to eventually become okay with. Like, oh, okay, yeah. Like, yeah, it was a little weird at first, but once I finally accepted that he was a teen, I was able to see past it and just see him as this, character. That was one of the biggest concerns going into the movie. Also, the problematic storyline. We live in a day and age today where cancel culture is a really big thing, and people will have old tweets looked up or have something happen that some people find problematic and they'll get canceled for a movie like this that is such a touchy concept. Because like I said, he manipulates this family that just lost their child into thinking that they had this big, amazing friendship. And that, and he becomes closer with the family. And he eventually starts dating the sister. And they see him as this son. And they eventually really take him in ways that it's hard to explain without spoiling. I am going to spoil the movie. This is a spoiler review. Go watch the movie. Or don't. That's fine. I don't care. I'm a big fan of musicals. So, obviously, anytime that there's a movie musical out, I am very much so in support of that, regardless of anything, basically. I'm just down. I'm excited. Great. There's a musical. Awesome. That being said, I didn't really enjoy much of the music in this movie. The most important thing for a musical to do is the same thing that's the most important thing for a horror movie to do, or a comedy to do. Horror movies are supposed to scare you. Comedies are supposed to make you laugh. And musicals are supposed to have good music. And maybe it's a taste thing, because I particularly didn't really like the music in this movie. I think there's a couple songs that particularly stand out to me as songs that I like, but overall, a big majority of the songs kind of just felt the same. They didn't really feel like they stood out very much, and if they did, the emotional impact wasn't there because the plot is so weird. The plot of the movie is extremely problematic, so I could see why people would be against this movie from the get, just because Evan Hansen's a bad person. Like, let's just get that out of the way. Okay, what you're doing to this family is disgusting. And the fact that anything that you're doing is projected in a good way, like, I get it. He's a well-intended kid. He doesn't want to hurt anybody, and he's just trying to give them what they want. And it's a really unfortunate situation that he should have just nipped in the bud from the beginning. It's a classic, like, oh man, I got myself caught in a lie, and I have to kind of, convince everyone that it's real and for as long as I can before everyone kills me. That being said, I think the problem here is the tone. From the beginning of the movie, I kind of went into it with this mindset that film Twitter taught me to have, which was, oh, this is bad. This is really awful. This is laughably bad. I heard it was this year's Cats, which got me really excited because I really enjoyed Cats, because I really enjoy a good disaster piece. I love a musical, and I love weird shit. So I was really excited for this movie. I was really sold on it. You Will Be Found, the song that is featured in the trailer, is great. It's really uplifting and really awesome, and made me excited for this movie. So overall, going into this movie, I was expecting a train wreck of a movie. I even told my girlfriend several times, I was like, I heard this is really bad. I'm really excited because I can't wait for this movie to be terrible. In a way, it was. So when the movie starts out, keep in mind, I'm in a packed theater. This is an early screening. Wednesday, the day before it was supposed to premiere. Everyone's, we were there late. So we had to, we're in the front section, the back of the front section. We found 2 open seats, and the screen's right there up in our face, which was kind of great because we were in the recliner seats. So, I can kind of recline back and kind of look up at it, and it was that was actually really nice. It was weird because I couldn't tell if I wanted to be actually sad or if I wanted to laugh at what was going on screen, which is not good because the movie was very tonally confused because there were jokes that were actually supposed to be jokes and you're supposed to laugh at them, and there was also stuff that wasn't an intentional joke and I'm laughing anyways and I think it's funny. Then there's stuff that's actually sad. Then I'm like, oh, that's genuinely sad, and I'm feeling emotions right now. During the first 20 minutes of the movie, I am completely at war with myself. I enjoy feeling complex feelings during movies, but I wish I would have picked a lane, because there's a song that happens about, I want to say 30 minutes in, called Sincerely Me. And I was genuinely shocked, and I found myself kind of loving the movie, because I was like, wow, this is a big swing. This is bold. This is crazy. This is weird. This is wild. I was really enjoying it. I was super into it. It's funny, but it's also sad, but it's also it's great because it's a song where Evan Hansen and his family friend, they're not actually friends. He's this gay stereotype for Evan Hansen to explain his feelings to at the beginning of the movie before he has anyone to actually talk to. He's a coder, so their idea is, to help me perpetuate this lie, help me to create this fake email account where we have all these emails between each other talking about how great of friends we are and everything. And so they're writing these together. As they're writing them, we see Connor, who we saw earlier in the movie, he's singing the songs in this really upbeat way, and I'm like, dude, you just killed yourself. I which made me genuinely sad, because obviously that's sad, and now I'm laughing about you touching your nipples, and I'm so emotionally weird about this situation, which was great. I wish they stayed with this dark comedic tone, but the movie is very melodramatic and teen drama, and oh my gosh, and I like this girl, and oh my gosh, and I'm an outsider and nobody likes me. And it's kind of funny for a lot of parts towards the beginning, and it really works really well. But as we go further into the movie, they lose that comedic aspect, and now I'm just kind of bored and kind of sad because I'm missing this comedic element of the movie. Sincerely Me, great, fantastic. The opening song where we meet Evan Hansen and he's explaining how he's dreading the day is solid. The song Requiem, where the sister of the boy who killed himself and her parents are kind of reflecting on how they should feel about their family member committing suicide, is actually really great, and I'm actually really into it. But when Ben Platt's singing about oh man, here's the things that Connor thought about you that he told me and didn't tell you. Actually, they're actually my thoughts about you and how I love you secretly. So you're planting these ideas in her head that Connor had all these feelings that he never had. So obviously, you've seen a movie before. You know that at the end of the movie, everyone's going to find out that he was lying and all this is fake. And now imagine how this girl's going to feel, because it's wait a minute. So all the things that you said that he loved about me, he never said those things. And now I have this really weird, complex feeling about all of those things about myself and about you and about him. And it's messed up, man. It's messed up. I don't know. It really loses you with how irredeemable Evan Hansen is. It's so frustrating. So when he's singing about how he loves this girl, you're like, oh, it's a nice little cute little song. And he's singing about how he loves this girl. But at the same time, I'm like, oh, but this is messed up and I hate you and you suck. I don't know how I wanted the movie to end. There are some things about the story that I do appreciate. Like, I do kind of like the reveal that he didn't fall out of the tree. He purposefully jumped out of the tree to try to kill himself. So the cast that he has to wear that is branded by Connor and becomes like this symbol of how they're connected. And now in hindsight, it's like, oh wow, so he killed himself. And this is your way of physically remembering that. In the first place, that is a symbol for how you tried to kill yourself, which is kind of beautiful. So I really like that aspect of the movie. I also really like the song that Connor sings that is echoed by Ben Platt at the end. Evan Hansen, Ben Platt, Evan Hansen. I really like the song that Connor sings at the end that's echoed by Evan Hansen. I also really like the final sentiment of the movie where he's like, oh, the theme of the movie, hey guys, the theme of the movie is keep moving forward, like keep going, and which, yeah, it's really good theme. I mean, like, hey, don't kill yourself. Keep moving forward. Like, there's going to be a better day. Hey, you never know. Like, you're sitting here living this, like, life that you're living and you're afraid to do things and you don't know that, like, hey, maybe if I wouldn't have killed myself, like, hey, maybe if I would just go talk to that girl, you know, maybe she would like me, because it's revealed in the movie that the sister has this crush on Evan Hansen, which is also kind of weird because she's like, oh man, like, can we talk about something else? Can we not talk about my brother? Can we just talk about, like, other things? Hey, let me come to your room. Hey, let me take my jacket off. Hey, let me sit on your bed. It's fine. That's fine and all. Like, if she's, you know, attracted to him and whatever, that's great. But I don't buy that you actually like him for him if every single conversation you guys have ever had was about your trauma. It was about this thing that he's lying about. So I hate him. I don't buy that you're actually into this guy. That relationship just doesn't work for me whatsoever. It is somewhat rushed, which on the one hand, I want to say that the story feels rushed and it feels way too long at the same time. I know that musicals are usually much longer than movies, and you kind of have to condense it down. I heard people say, oh, one of my favorite songs was taken out of the movie, and that sucks, and, you know, that's terrible. But, like, also, this was like 2 hours and 15 minutes long, and it felt really long. I just feel like if they would have kept that dark comedic tone from the beginning of the movie, I feel like that would have helped a lot. It is a very serious, hard-hitting subject, so when you bring some levity into the situation, I'm able to digest it better, I guess. And also, the contrast of these funny moments to the actually hard-hitting drama makes it even worse. Like, even worse, because that's what horror movies do, right? They're like, haha, horror comedies are like, oh, haha, like, this is a funny joke, and boom, I'm gonna scare, like, I'm gonna scare you now, and it catches you off guard, because I'm just laughing, and I'm really relaxed, and I'm like, ha, 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 and now I'm actually scared. So you, instead of going from 0 to 100, you go from negative 100 to 100, and that's so much of a bigger jump, and it hits you that much harder. That's one of my big problems with the movie, is the tone. I don't feel for any of the relationships. Towards the end of the movie, when Evan Hansen reveals the thing, like the whole, like, oh, I was lying and I made it all up, I'm really expecting, especially like the dad, to be like, get out, you freak. Like, because he's a freak. Like that's a really messed up thing to do. You're a bad person. Get out of my house. Don't talk to me or my family anymore. Here's a restraining order. And that just kind of doesn't happen. Like, they're all just kind of like, I can't believe you. And then they, like, walk away and she's like, I think you should leave. And it's like, no, you should be mad. You shouldn't be sad. You should be angry. This crazy person just fabricated this whole friendship with your son and used it to get closer to your family and to date your daughter. He's creepy and weird. Get this 30-year-old man out of your apartment now. Or house. It was a really nice house. Yeah, I don't know if anything he did is illegal or not, but, like, I don't know. It's wrong. It's wrong. So at the end of the movie, when he's just like, oh, I'm going to take a year off of school and I'm going to go to college next year, it's like, no, you got, like, fame and notoriety off of this whole situation. Like, you didn't seem like you really lost that badly, dude. Like, just because you research things about him and you end up finding a video of him playing a guitar, like, that's nice. That's sweet and all, but, like, thank God he didn't end up with the girl at the end. Oh my gosh. Like, yeah, they had their moment in orchard together where they're like, oh, well, hey, like, I'm happy you got to see the orchard. And, like, he looks over the orchard at the end. He's like, oh, yeah, maybe people shouldn't kill themselves. And, like, that's all well and good. The mom storyline was kind of felt disjointed. I was very awkward and weird when she was turning down the college money. I know that's how some people would react, but watching that scene, I'm uncomfortable. I really thought that that's how the lie was going to be brought out, is she was going to be like, they're going to be like, oh, well, he wrote these letters Connor wrote these letters to Evan Hansen, like, here's his suicide note. Julianne Moore's like, oh my gosh, this is just like the therapy thing that you had to do, that little project, your assignment where you had to write letters to yourself, and then you're going to be like, wait a minute, what? Is this like, were you lying to us? You know what I mean? I feel like that would have worked a lot better, because Evan Hansen revealing the lie, I don't like it. I don't buy it. You know what I mean? Like, because I'm watching this movie thinking, okay, don't reveal it. Just don't reveal it. You're even worse of a person if you do reveal it. Keep the lie. Keep the lie. And the reason why the lie came out really rubbed me the wrong way as well, because they were like, oh, well, to prove to this girl that I'm friends with, Alana, to prove to her that I actually was friends with Connor, here's his suicide note that he wrote to me. And maybe I need to read the suicide note again. Well, the not suicide note, the therapy letter. I don't get why the public had the reaction that they did. Well, first of all, Alana, he just showed this to you in confidence and said, don't show this to anybody. And you're like, all that matters is that fucking orchard, baby. And so you post it on the Instagram. Everyone sees it. And everyone's response is to be like, wow, that family sucks. They're awful. They're bad people. I need to read the suicide letter. I need to read this. Because, why are people so fucking mad? Where did it come across that, the family was big pieces of shit, and they're the reason why he killed himself? And they're like, oh my gosh, he wrote a suicide note to his best friend, but not to his family? And it's like, I don't know. Yeah, I guess. I don't know. That doesn't mean that family's bad people. Most teens hate their parents and don't get along with their siblings. It's not weird to me to find out, oh, the suicide note that he wrote, yeah, it was to his best friend. It wasn't to his family. Fuck you. I can't find it. All right. Dear Evan Hansen, turns out this wasn't an amazing day after all. This isn't going to be an amazing week or an amazing year, because why would it be? I know because there's Zoe, and all my hope is pinned on Zoe, who I don't even know and doesn't know me. Maybe if I could just talk to her, maybe nothing would be different at all. I wish everything was different. I wish I was part of something. I wish that anything I said mattered to anyone. I mean, face it, would anyone notice if I just disappeared tomorrow? Sincerely, your most best and dearest friend, me. I get it, you're like, oh, I feel like I can't talk to Zoe, but that doesn't immediately mean that she's the problem there. I don't know why everyone consensus jumped to this opinion that's like, oh, well, that's a bad family, and they're the reason why he killed himself, and we're going to cyberbully this family. I love when the dad's like, what are we going to do, arrest the internet? It's annoying to me, someone who's arrogant and cocky, has written movies, is like, oh, I would have done it like this, and it would have been so much better like this. I'm really interested to see how the play went, how the lie came out in the play and everything. Because I remember watching the trailer and I was like, how does, it doesn't look like he's that far back from him. He could definitely catch up and get that letter back. But watching the movie, it kind of worked out because he was like, he just pushed him down. Yeah, I also would stop running after you if you were a crazy person, you pushed me away because of the letter. It was also kind of dumb. I mean, I get it. He's mentally unstable and whatever, so I'm not going to sit here and be like, that's irredeemable for them to be like, oh, you wrote this thing so that you could, what? You wrote this thing so that I would see that you had a crush on my sister and you would freak out? I don't know. That was off to me. I would be very surprised if that's how they did it in the musical. Whatever. Who cares? All of that was just me talking about the story. Okay, let's move on to the songs. Okay, so I said that Sincerely Me was my favorite one. Visually, it was really beautiful because you were kind of cutting to them doing all this fun stuff together. It was interesting seeing them dance together and have this much chemistry and stuff. It was also cool cutting back and forth between the real world and their fantasy email world, and it was a funny song, and people were laughing, and it worked, and I was like, let's keep this tone throughout the movie, and they didn't, and that sucks. Like I said, the opening song, where I think it's Walking Through the Windows or whatever, I don't care. The opening song, Waving Through a Window, I really liked. Requiem was really good. I didn't care for the song the mom sang. No idea anything about her whole entire subplot. I really thought that the whole thing was going to be that she didn't have a good communicative relationship with her son, and that's why the lie came out, is because she brought it up when they were trying to give him the college money. But whatever, who cares? So my big issue with the songs, like I said, is that they all kind of feel the same. They all kind of blend together. Nothing really stands out. You know, Frozen has the problem where it's like, oh, all these songs don't feel like they belong in the same soundtrack together. They're very different. They're very disconjointed. Whereas something like Tarzan, where it's like, oh, okay, every song feels different, has a different tone and mood, but they all feel like they cohesively fit together. Yes, I love Tarzan. I could see myself adding to my Spotify Sincerely Me, and that's really about it. Oh, and, You Will Be Found. So that's it. There's about 2 songs that I liked, and none of the other songs I really cared for. Let's move on to the performances, which, as I said from the get, was a thing that people were really worried about. Ben Platt, I think he tried his best. I think he really tried really hard. All things considered, I think he did a good job. Yes, he did just kind of hunch his shoulders and run really weird, which, by the way, his run was the funniest thing. Every time I saw him run, I wanted to burst out laughing. That was hilarious. He just looks like a 30-year-old man. His hair looked weird. I could see, just his face, his frame, everything. It was so awkward. I'm like, you're not in high school, dude. I could see him winning the Razzie this year. I'd be very surprised if he didn't win the Razzie. Maybe I'm forgetting something. Oh, probably LeBron James, actually, for Space Jam will win the Razzie. I'd rather him win the Razzie, actually, than Ben Platt. Because actually, Ben Platt felt like he cared. Ben Platt really cared. And I appreciate that. Other than that, standouts, Caitlin Dever as Zoe, I think did a really solid job. Her character really bothered me towards the beginning. I know everyone deals with grief and trauma differently, but when she's actively telling her mom how bad of a person her son was, I'm like, dude, clearly this is not the time. But yeah, we're talking about her performance, and I think she did a solid job. Julianne Moore did okay. Amy Adams, I thought, was stellar. I usually don't really think she's that great. I know the whole thing is like, oh man, she's had so many Oscar nominations and one day she's going to win. But this one I was actually like, wow, I believe her. When she notices the cast and that moment really hits me, because I'm like, oh, you're so sad and this means so much to you. I really liked Amy Adams in this movie, but that reminds me, one of the weirdest parts about watching Ben Platt's performance is there's a scene where he's one-on-one with Amy Adams. I had the thought, wow, I genuinely believe that he's closer in age to Amy Adams than he is to any high schooler. And that's something that I feel like most audiences won't be able to get past. And I don't blame them. Everyone else is fine. The dad was fine. Alana was fine. Connor I really liked a lot, actually. And then the friend, I'm going to pronounce this name wrong, Nick Dodani. I thought he was really funny and great. His character felt like a stereotype. He was funny. Every time he was on screen, it was very welcome, and I felt like he was a real, authentic character, and I wish he had more to do in the movie, because he kind of just disappears at a certain point. The movie is directed by Steven Chbosky. Steven Chbosky, the guy who did Perks of Being a Wallflower and Wonder. I did not see Wonder. I wish I did. I did see Perks of Being a Wallflower, and I like that movie. That's a good little teen movie. And that's so the same type of movie, the teen melodrama. Oh my gosh, I feel like an outsider. I feel so alone. That being said, I think he did really well. I think visually, this movie's kind of boring, because there's a lot of times where I'm like, okay, we're just close up watching this person sing this song, and they're really sad. And so visually, there isn't anything that's admirable in any way. There's some editing choices that are weird. It's funny during the opening song. There's a 3-beat part of the song, and they're like, cut, cut, cut. I can't tell if I like this or it's weird. It took me out of it every time, because I really noticed it. So it didn't gel. So I guess it's not good, but noticeable. It's very hard for me to give this movie a positive review. Like I said, during the first 20 to 30 minutes, oh, I was game. I was so down. I was preparing my argument for oh yeah, this movie is so good. And I know it's not perfect in a lot of ways, and I know that some people might find it offensive. The performance is inexcusable and all that, and I get it. But then the movie kept going, and it didn't really have any other songs that I liked. The plot got worse. So it's a musical where I don't like 90% of the songs. The plot not only is offensive, but bad. This movie's gonna win Razzies. That's kind of sad, because I'm so happy that this movie exists. I think it's really bad, but I think it's really interesting. I love that this movie exists. I love that I got to see this movie. I really enjoyed watching it, and I think anyone who really enjoys a good disaster piece, like Cats, would really enjoy watching this movie, because just finding out, oh, how did this get made? Who thought this was a good idea? It's really interesting for that. I think that most people would like the songs more than I did. I think that other people might not. There will be people that are not bothered by Ben Platt's performance. There will be people that are just like, oh yeah, I thought he was a high schooler. To them I say, have you ever seen a high schooler? I have to give this movie 1 out of 5 stars. I always go out of 5. I was gonna give it a 2, but I was like, oh, this is actually bad. This is actually bad. And like, I wouldn't rewatch it. Like, I'm so happy I watched it, and I'm so excited to talk to people about it. And hell, I made this video because I was so excited to talk about how weird and interesting this movie is. But I can't genuinely recommend it to anyone without the context of, yeah, it's bad, and it's interesting because it's bad. I think that environment-wise, it would have been so much better if I watched it with a crowd that was down to make fun of it. Because I was like holding myself back from laughing at certain parts, and I feel like I would have been better off if I was just able to be watching it on the couch with a group of friends, and we're drinking and you know, we're just making fun of the movie as it goes along, because it's weird and bad. People are going to have the experience where they go to theaters and they watch it, and there's people there that are laughing at the wrong parts. They're treating it like this big joke, because I don't blame them. This movie is kind of a joke. This movie is really bad. I can't genuinely recommend it to anybody. So, like I said, for me, it's a 1 out of 5. That's all I have to say about it for now. I'm so happy that movies like this exist. I see a million movies a year, and they're all exactly the same. So to see a really weird movie, I really appreciate this movie for being weird and just borderline offensive, because it's interesting, because I felt really complex feelings throughout the movie. I know I'm supposed to be rooting for Evan Hansen because he's the main character, because that's what we're conditioned to do, but he's a bad person, but I see how he's well-intended, and I feel really complex feelings about the movie, and I really enjoy that, because the whole point of watching a movie is to feel feelings. I really appreciate a movie for finally being like, oh wow, like, so do I like this main character? That being said, there could also be a good movie where you do that. Watch this movie if you want to be a part of the conversation. Other than that, if you're a casual moviegoer that goes like 6 times a year, don't go see this. I don't think you're really going to enjoy it. That being said, I on the movie today, there was plenty of people who came out of the theater and was like, oh yeah, I really like this. It's really good. And like, there was a lady who was like, she was pissed. She was like, oh, I'm so mad at the critics for panning this movie. It's so good. They did it perfectly. Poor Ben Platt. But I can't genuinely recommend this. Thank you so much for listening to me rant about this train wreck, this disaster piece. It's officially a disaster piece, and so for that I enjoy it. If you want to see more of this, let me know if there's any movies you want me to specifically talk about. Hopefully I edit this together so that like it's not 42 minutes long. My thoughts feel more cohesive, and I'm going to start doing this more often so that I get better at it, because clearly I was kind of lacking in structure, because I kind of just turned my camera on and started ranting about the movie and then found my way as I got along. But I hope to do this more often. Hard reviews. Hello, Adam Ryan Donato reviews. And if anyone wants to bring a movie to my attention or to talk about movies with me, and that is very welcome. Thank you guys so much for listening to me today, and thanks for letting me talk to you about movies. Hello, welcome. We're here today. It's just fucking me, idiot. You will be found so that the sun comes screaming in. Maybe I should call the show That Being Said, because I feel like I say That Being Said a lot.